Hey everybody, Ozark Gilman here. So, it looks like the DOJ is in full blown damage control mode, and they had to come up with quite an excuse to justify why they did what they did raiding Trump. It's been several days, they haven't said anything about it, hardly, other than Garland's very weird 5 minute, press briefing where he wouldn't answer any questions and then just turn around and kind of sauntered away back to whoever's giving him his orders. But anyway, the Trump's lawyer here actually makes a pretty good point.
Garland. That's obviously nonsense. When you're raiding a former president's home, which is unprecedented, it had to come from the top. It did come from the top. And I think that the DOJ is in damage control mode here because if it really, when I first saw this news, I said, this has to be about something else. It can't be about presidential records because it is frankly ludicrous to go to this type of, extreme tactics over some 18-month-old stale documents that who cares? This librarian, head librarian of the National Archives, is up in arms. He's upset that his documents aren't there. Where is his upset about Obama's 30 million pages of documents? Where is his upset about how Hillary Clinton treated classified documents on her server? This is a ridiculous premise for an FBI SWAT team of 30 FBI agents to go through for 9 hours. It's just so I still think that's what's happening here is that this raid was a pretext for a fishing expedition that has come up empty. And now they're trying to craft a different narrative to explain their outrageous behavior and their undermining of trust.
So now looking at all the major media outlets, cue the cover story. And oh wow, look at that on MSNBC and CNN at the exact same time. Now they're coming out with the exact same headline. Wow, what a coincidence. After midnight on a what night is tonight? Thursday night, I should say. And then they come out with this and look very carefully at the wording in the headline coming from Washington Post and looks like what the classified documents related to nuclear weapons were among items FBI sought at Trump's home. And remember, we're not saying raid now. Now we're saying search. No, raid doesn't sound good. So anyway, but oh no, they didn't find them there. It said that they sought them there. And isn't it funny that they waited days and days after the raid, well, I mean, search, sorry, in order to come up with this story? I mean, why didn't they say that in the first place? And then, strange thing was, apparently they didn't find anything because, again, sought. So, oh, look at this by the Washington Post over on MSNBC. Material about nuclear weapons is especially sensitive and usually restricted to a small number of government officials. Okay, well, yeah, that's obvious. Everybody knows that. But again, they didn't find anything there. This is what they said that they were looking for there in order to justify their bungled search while they were going through Melania's belongings. I don't know if that's Special Agent Anthony Weiner was on that case or whatever. But interestingly, in an amazing coincidence with absolutely no notice apparently whatsoever, after midnight, they suddenly have national security lawyers, national security so called experts out there to shill, to talk about the matter. This guy right here is a national security lawyer. And somehow he was ready, dressed in suit and tie, after midnight Central Time, 1 a.m. Eastern Time, in order to talk about this breaking news, which just happened to come out at this time. And somehow they were able to be prepared with the exact type of experts that they would want to talk about it. And meanwhile, the whole thing, a show, as they didn't find any, said that they sought them. Just like they said, and by the way, isn't it interesting that they whipped this up a couple hours after Tucker Carlson came on the air? Brian Kilmeade was, filling in for him. And they mentioned that, well, you know what? Looks like they were actually looking for other stuff, anything, to try to indict Trump because they ain't got jack squat, and they came up with nothing. So now they're running interference with a cover story. And then, by claiming transparency, Merrick Garland said in the short presser where he wouldn't take any questions that he would unseal the warrant, when really that's not even what's that important.
Just now, the Justice Department has filed a motion in the Southern District of Florida to unseal a search warrant and property receipt relating to a court-approved search that the FBI conducted earlier this week.
And yet, that's not really what's going to tell anything. The affidavits about what led them to this are what's going to tell everything. And again, they won't release those just like they weren't very forthcoming, and journalists dug up the fact that it was actually a judge, this guy, Judge Reinhardt, who retired his post as U.S. Attorney in order to, the very next day, represent Epstein's fellow human traffickers in order to try to get them off of those charges. Again, retired as U.S. Attorney, and the next day represented Epstein's people. And now he is a federal judge, or I should say, yeah, a judge down there in Florida who approved this. He's the one they went to. Out of all the judges in the world, the Washington field office, again, same one, used a planted fake Steele dossier to get the Pfizer warrant under false premises and claimed they were fooled, that was paid for by Hillary's lawyers, went to that particular judge. And they're going to unseal the warrant. Oh, but not the affidavits that led to the warrant, which is where the real meat and potatoes are. Yeah, nothing shady here at all. Meanwhile, they claim that they were searching for documents, not nuclear records themselves, but documents related to nuclear records, even though apparently they didn't find anything because it's been days. And they're trying to just hope that the low information voters are going to take that and run with it. This is Mark Elman. You'll have a good one.